The moment I see the text on her phone, everything changes. The glowing screen sits innocently on the kitchen counter, but the message it displays is anything but innocent. I don't know this, Leo, but I sure as hell know what "can't wait to see you again tonight" means. My pulse spikes as I set the coffee mug down with trembling hands. I glance toward the living room, where Maddie, my wife of 7 years, sits laughing at some mindless TV show. She looks so relaxed, so normal. It makes me sick. For weeks, maybe months, I've ignored the signs. Late nights, excuses that barely made sense, the sudden attachment to her phone. But now, the evidence is staring me in the face. I pocket my phone and step out of the kitchen before she notices. My mind is racing, emotions crashing into each other. Rage, betrayal, disbelief. I need to know. I need to see it for myself. Tonight. Maddie glances up as I step back into the living room, masking the storm inside me with a casual smile. "Hey, you okay?" she asks, her voice sweet as sugar. It makes my stomach churn. "Yeah," I lie, grabbing my keys. "Forgot I had to swing by the shop. Won't take long." She nods absently, her attention back on the screen. I take a long look at her, as if memorizing the face of someone I thought I knew. Then I step out into the night air, my heart pounding in sync with my hurried footsteps. I'm not just swinging by the shop. I'm setting my plan into motion. Sliding into my car, I pull up the tracking app I'd installed on her phone weeks ago when the doubts first crept in. Her location ping is steady. Home. Good. She hasn't left yet. I've got time to prepare. I park a few blocks away, close enough to keep an eye on the house, but far enough not to arouse suspicion. The minutes crawl by as I wait, gripping the steering wheel with white-knuckled intensity. My phone buzzes, and it's her message, heading out for a quick run to the store. Need anything? The lie is almost laughable. Maddie hasn't run to the store at this hour in years. I reply with a simple, "No, I'm good." Then I watch as her icon on the tracker moves steadily toward a familiar intersection. She's not going to the store. She's going to him. I follow at a careful distance, keeping my headlights off as I tail her car through quiet suburban streets. My mind races with possibilities. Who is this guy? How long has this been going on? What will I find when I get there? Her car finally turns into the driveway of a small house on the edge of town. I pull over a block away, the engine idling as I debate my next move. My pulse thunders in my ears as I consider confronting her now, ending this charade once and for all. But no, I need to see it first. I need proof. Creeping through the shadows, I park down the street and approach the house on foot. The lights are on inside, and laughter filters through the thin walls. My fists clench as I peer through a crack in the curtains. There they are, sitting close on the couch, his arm draped around her shoulder, her smile wide, radiant, a smile I haven't seen in years. I step back, swallowing the bile rising in my throat. This is it. I know what I need to do. The night air feels suffocating as I crouch in the shadows, watching my wife and this stranger through the window. Every laugh she shares with him twists the knife deeper into my chest. They look comfortable, familiar, too familiar. This isn't a first rendezvous. It's routine. My teeth grind, and my hands tremble, but I don't move. Not yet. The blinds shift slightly, and I duck behind a nearby bush. I'm close enough to hear her voice, faint but unmistakable. "I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, Leo. John's getting suspicious." Her words are a slap in the face, but it's his response that sends my blood boiling. "Relax," he says, his voice dripping with smugness. "He's clueless. Just keep playing the doting wife, and he'll never figure it out." My fists clench so tightly my nails bite into my palms. The audacity, the disrespect. They're sitting in that cozy little living room, plotting against me as if I'm some oblivious idiot. But I've been watching. I know more than they think. I creep back to my car, my mind racing. A confrontation here would be satisfying but impulsive. No, I need a plan, something calculated. The evidence is piling up, but I want this to end on my terms, not theirs. I'll let her think she's in control, let her think her secret is safe, and then I'll pull the rug out from under her. Driving back home, I feel like a ghost. My body present, but my mind lost in a whirlwind of emotions. Love and rage battle for dominance, but rage has the upper hand. This isn't just betrayal, it's humiliation, and I won't let it stand. By the time I pull into the driveway, I've made my decision. Tomorrow, I'll start putting everything in place. I'll gather the proof, tie up the loose ends, and make sure Maddie feels the weight of every choice she's made. Tonight, though, I'll play my part. Stepping inside, I'm greeted by the usual silence. The air feels heavy, loaded with unspoken words and unseen truths. Maddie's car isn't back yet, but I know she'll have an excuse ready when she walks through the door. She always does. I head to the kitchen and pour myself a drink, the burn of the whiskey grounding me as I prepare for the facade aisle where when she returns. The front door opens half an hour later, and I hear her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. "Hey," she calls out, her voice cheerful. Too cheerful. I grabbed some snacks for the weekend. Figured we could have a movie night tomorrow. I force a smile as I step into the living room. "Sounds good," I say, keeping my tone neutral. "Long day?" She shrugs, setting a grocery bag on the counter. "You know how it is. Same old stuff." Her eyes dart away as she speaks, and I wonder if she realizes how much her body betrays her lies. She's good, but not good enough. I watch her for a moment, waiting for her to meet my gaze, but she doesn't. "I'm going to head up," I say casually, not waiting for a response. "Early start tomorrow." "Okay," she replies, her voice a touch too bright. "Good night." As I climb the stairs, I catch her glancing at her phone, a small smile playing on her lips. It's like she can't help herself. Once in the bedroom, I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at the photo on the nightstand. It's us on our wedding day, all smiles and promises of forever. I pick it up, studying the faces of two people who seem so far removed from who we are now. Placing it face down, I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Tonight is the last time I'll let her lies go unchallenged. Tomorrow, everything changes. The morning sun filters through the blinds, but it does nothing to warm the icy resolve in my chest. I'm already awake when the alarm buzzes, my plan from the night before playing on a loop in my mind. Today isn't just another day. It's the beginning of the end for her lies. Maddie stirs beside me, groaning as she stretches. "Morning," she says groggily, her voice tinged with that forced sweetness she's been using lately. It grates on me now. "Morning," I reply, feigning indifference. "I've got to leave early for work. Big project." I glance at her, gauging her reaction, but she just nods and rolls over. Typical. She's too busy thinking about her own plans to notice mine. By the time I leave the house, I'm in full execution mode. I spend the morning making calls, starting with a private investigator recommended by a trusted friend. The guy, an older man with a gruff voice, listens intently as I explain the situation. "You want hard proof?" he asks, his tone professional but blunt. "Exactly," I say. "I need photos, videos, timestamps, the works. I don't want her wriggling out of this." "Consider it done," he replies. "Send me her details, and I'll get started today." I hang up, feeling a small but satisfying sense of control return. It's the first step, and it feels good. Next, I set about securing my finances. I transfer half of our joint savings into a separate account, ensuring that if things go south, I won't be left high and dry. Maddie won't notice for a while. She's never paid much attention to the numbers. The rest of the day passes in a blur of preparation. I contact a lawyer, a sharp-witted woman with a reputation for ruthless efficiency. "If she's cheating," she says after I lay out the situation, "we'll make sure she pays for it. You'll come out of this clean." Her confidence bolsters me, but it also undoes the gravity of what's happening. This isn't just about a broken heart. It's about dismantling a life we built together. A life I thought was real. By the time I return home that evening, the wheels are fully in motion. Maddie greets me with a kiss on the cheek, the gesture so automatic it feels hollow. "How was your day?" she asks, pouring a glass of wine. "Busy," I reply, forcing a smile. "Yours?" "Same," she says, swirling the wine in her glass. She doesn't meet my eyes, and I wonder if she's thinking about him. Probably. The thought ignites a spark of anger, but I tamp it down. Patience. Timing is everything. After dinner, She retreats to the living room, her phone practically glued to her hand. I pretend to watch TV, my mind racing with possibilities. The investigator said he'd have preliminary results in a few days. Until then, I need to act normal. But every passing minute feels like a test of my restraint. Later, as we prepare for bed, I catch her glancing at her phone again, a small, secretive smile playing on her lips. It takes everything in me not to grab the device and confront her right then and there. Instead, I turn off the lights and lie awake, the darkness amplifying my thoughts. I know the path I've chosen is going to hurt, but it's the only way forward. She's made her choices, and now I'm making mine. In a few days, the facade will crumble, and she'll have no one to blame but herself. The next few days are a masterclass in restraint. Each morning, I leave the house early, pretending to head to work, but my real mission lies elsewhere. The private investigator, Dave, keeps me updated on his progress. By midweek, his voice on the phone carries a weight that tells me he's found something significant. She's not being subtle, he says, his tone flat but edged with disgust. I've got photos of her meeting him at a coffee shop, leaving his place, and, well, other evidence you'll want to see for yourself. The words sting, even though I expected them. When can you send it over? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. You'll have it tonight, Dave replies. But there's more. She's not just seeing him casually. This is full-blown. She's spending nights at his place. I grip the steering wheel of my parked car, the leather creaking under the pressure. Thanks, Dave. Keep tracking her. I want everything. Will do, he says before hanging up. That night, I sit at my desk, staring at the photos Dave sent. They're damning, Maddie leaning into him, his hand on her lower back as they walk into his apartment, the two of them laughing over coffee like they have no care in the world. It's the kind of evidence that removes any shadow of doubt. I close my laptop, my chest tight with anger. The memories of our life together, our wedding, the trips, the late-night talks, all feel like a cruel joke. But alongside the anger is a strange calm. The truth is out, and now it's time to act. The next day, I meet with my lawyer, handing over the evidence. Mary, with her no-nonsense demeanor, barely glances at the photos before nodding. This will make things straightforward. I'll file the paperwork. You'll have the upper hand in the divorce. Her words are a small consolation, but they also solidify the reality of what's happening. There's no going back now. When I return home that evening, Maddie is already there, her phone on the counter as she chops vegetables. You're home early, she says, glancing up with a smile. Slow day, I reply, keeping my tone light. She hums in response, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath my calm facade. The sight of her, so casual, so normal, makes my stomach turn. But I need to play this carefully. The papers won't be served until Friday, and until then, I'll let her think everything is fine. As we sit down for dinner, she chatters on about her day, her words barely registering. All I can think about is how much of this is a lie. Does she even realize the extent of the damage she's done? Or is she so wrapped up in her fantasy with him that she's convinced herself this is normal? When she asks about my day, I give a vague answer and steer the conversation away. It's easier this way, keeping things surface level. She doesn't notice. She never notices. Later that night, as I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, my resolve solidifies. Tomorrow is the beginning of the end. The papers will be served, and the life she's been juggling so carelessly will come crashing down. She thinks she's in control, but she has no idea what's coming. Friday morning dawns with an eerie calm. The sun streams through the curtains, warming the room, but I feel nothing. Today is the day everything changes. I glance over at Maddie, still asleep, her face peaceful in a way that feels almost mocking. How can she look so serene while tearing our life apart? I get up quietly, my movements measured and deliberate. Downstairs, I make coffee, the routine grounding me as I mentally run through the plan. By noon, the divorce papers will be served to her at work. She won't see it coming, and I'll be long gone before she even has the chance to process what's happening. She comes down an hour later, her hair damp from the shower, wearing that same distant smile. You're up early, she says, pouring herself a cup. Big day ahead, I reply, keeping my tone neutral. Got to get a head start. She nods absently, scrolling through her phone. I wonder if she's texting him. The thought ignites a flicker of anger, but I shove it down. Patience. I can't let her see through the mask. As we finish breakfast, she leans in for a quick kiss on the cheek, an act so automatic it feels hollow. See you tonight, she says, grabbing her bag and heading out the door. I watch her go, my heart a strange mix of relief and sorrow. This is the last time she'll leave this house thinking everything is normal. Once she's gone, I spring into action. My bags are already packed, hidden in the garage. I load them into the trunk of my car, double-checking to make sure I haven't left anything behind. The house feels strangely empty, as if it already knows I won't be coming back. Before leaving, I take one last look around. The photos on the walls, the furniture we picked out together, even the little knickknacks she insisted on buying. All of it feels like a lie now. I turn away, my jaw clenched, and head out the door. By the time I reach the lawyer's office, Mary is already waiting with an update. The papers are being delivered as we speak, she says, her tone brisk. Once she's served, she'll probably try to contact you. I suggest not answering. Don't worry, I reply. I've taken care of that. She raises an eyebrow but doesn't press. What she doesn't know is that I've already changed my number, canceled the shared phone plan, and set up a new one. By the time Maddie realizes I'm unreachable, it'll be too late. I leave the office and head to a nearby cafe, sipping coffee as I wait for the inevitable. Sure enough, my phone buzzes a few hours later with an email notification. It's from her. The subject line simply reads, "What is this?" I don't open it. Instead, I delete it and block her email address. She'll figure it out soon enough. As the day wears on, I get a call from Dave, the investigator. You'll be happy to know her lover had an interesting reaction when she told him, he says with a chuckle. Let's just say he's not exactly jumping to play house with her. The news brings a grim sense of satisfaction. It's what she deserves, though it doesn't erase the pain. Nothing will, but at least now, I can start moving forward. That evening, I check into a motel a few towns over, my bags sitting in the corner like silent witnesses to the chaos of the day. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at the blank TV screen, and let out a long breath. It's over, or at least, it's beginning to be. The motel room feels cold and sterile, but it's a welcome contrast to the suffocating lies I've lived with for months. I sit on the edge of the bed, letting the silence envelop me. My mind replays the events of the day, Maddie being served, her inevitable confusion and panic. The thought fills me with both relief and a lingering ache. This isn't how I wanted our story to end, but she made her choice, and now I've made mine. My phone buzzes. It's Dave again. Got a bit of news for you, he says, his tone laced with amusement. Your wife's been trying to reach you all afternoon. Looks like she even tried contacting her lover. Let's just say things didn't go her way. What do you mean? I ask, my curiosity piqued. He's done with her, Dave replies bluntly. When she called him after being served, he didn't take it well. From what I gathered, he doesn't want the fallout affecting him. Typical. These guys always run when things get messy. I can't help but laugh, a bitter sound that echoes in the quiet room. Serves her right. Indeed. Thought you'd like to know. If anything else comes up, I'll let you know. I thank him and hang up, the weight on my chest feeling a fraction lighter. She's reaping what she's sown, and for the first time in months, I feel like I'm the one in control. That night, I go through the motions of settling into this temporary life. I unpack the essentials, arrange my things neatly on the motel desk, and order a takeout meal that tastes like cardboard. It's not glamorous, but it's freedom, and that's worth more than anything. As I lie in bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, my mind drifts to what comes next. The job in a new city, the fresh start, the clean slate. It's a daunting prospect, but it's also exciting. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. The next morning, I head to the new town. The drive is long, the scenery blending into a blur of green fields and endless highways. With each mile, the ties to my old life weaken, replaced by the promise of something better. My thoughts flicker between the past and the future, the pain of betrayal and the hope of rebuilding. By the time I reach the city, The sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the skyline. My new employer, Greg, meets me at the office, a sleek, modern building that feels like the polar opposite of my old job. Greg is all smiles, his handshake firm as he shows me around. "You'll fit right in here," he says, leading me through the bustling office. "We've got big plans, and I know you'll be a key part of them." I nod, grateful for the opportunity, but still feeling the weight of the day's events. Greg seems to sense it and claps me on the shoulder. "Take the weekend to settle in. Monday, we hit the ground running." Later, as I settle into the modest apartment they've arranged for me, I feel a strange mix of emotions. The pain of Maddie's betrayal is still fresh, but it's tempered by the promise of a new beginning. This place, this life, it's mine to shape, free from the lies and deceit that haunted me before. I sit by the window, watching the city lights twinkle against the dark sky. For the first time in months, I feel something close to peace. The weekend moves slowly, giving me time to unpack both my belongings and the tangled mess of emotions still swirling inside me. My new apartment is small but functional, with just enough space to feel like a fresh start. Each box I unpack feels like another piece of closure, another step toward reclaiming my life. By Sunday afternoon, I find myself walking through the city, soaking in the sights and sounds of my new surroundings. The streets are alive with energy. Street vendors hawking their goods, families enjoying the crisp air, couples strolling hand in hand. It's a bittersweet reminder of what I thought I had and what I've lost. My phone buzzes, pulling me from my thoughts. It's a voicemail notification from an unknown number. I hesitate before listening, half expecting it to be Maddie. Instead, it's my lawyer, Mary. "John, just a heads up, your wife is contesting the divorce. She's claiming she wants to talk things through. Let me know how you want to proceed." I clench my jaw, my pace slowing as the words sink in. Contesting the divorce? After everything she's done, she still thinks she has a chance? I delete the message and shove the phone back into my pocket, the familiar anger bubbling to the surface. I knew this wouldn't be simple, but I hadn't expected her to fight back so soon. That night, I sit at the kitchen table with a drink in hand, staring at the stack of paperwork Mary emailed me. Maddie's response is filled with vague promises to make things right and pleas for reconciliation. It's almost laughable. She spent months lying to me, betraying me, and now she wants to fix things? The sheer audacity is almost impressive. I pick up the phone and call Mary. Let her contest it, I say, my voice firm. She can plead her case all she wants. I'm not changing my mind. Mary's response is cool and professional. "Understood. Just be prepared. This could drag out longer than expected." "Let it," I reply. "I've waited this long. A few more months won't kill me." The next morning, I throw myself into work, eager for the distraction. My new role is challenging, but in the best way. The team is sharp, the projects are ambitious, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm building something worthwhile. Greg stops by my office around midday, a cup of coffee in hand. "How's it going so far?" he asks, his tone genuinely curious. "Good," I reply, gesturing to the stack of files on my desk. "Lots to dive into, but I like a challenge." He grins. "That's what I like to hear. Keep it up, John. You've got a lot of potential here." As he leaves, I feel a flicker of pride. This is the life I should have been living all along. A life focused on growth, not on salvaging something broken. The thought steals my resolve. I won't let Maddie drag me back into the chaos she created. By the time the workday ends, I'm exhausted but satisfied. The city skyline glows in the fading sunlight as I drive home, a quiet sense of accomplishment settling over me. I may not have chosen this path, but it's mine now, and I'm determined to make the most of it. Back at the apartment, I check my email and see another message from Mary. "Call me when you can. There's been a development." I dial her number, bracing myself. "What's going on?" I ask when she answers. "It's your wife," Mary says, her voice tinged with exasperation. "She's insisting on meeting with you. Says it's important." I let out a bitter laugh. "Of course she does. What did you tell her?" "That it's up to you," she replies. "But John, if you're not ready to see her, don't force yourself." You have every right to set boundaries. Her words give me pause. Part of me wants to confront Maddie, to look her in the eye and make her understand what she's done. But another part of me knows it won't matter. She made her choices, and I've made mine. I'll think about it, I say finally. But right now, I just want to move forward. Understood, Mary says. Take your time. This is your process. As I hang up, I feel a strange mix of emotions. Anger, sadness, and a flicker of something new. Hope. The next morning, I wake with Mary's words still echoing in my mind. Maddie wants to meet. The thought weighs on me as I get ready for work, each action a deliberate attempt to shove the idea aside. I don't owe her a conversation, I tell myself. She didn't give me that courtesy when she decided to betray me. But as the day goes on, curiosity gnaws at me. What could she possibly have to say that hasn't already been made clear? Is it an apology? An attempt to twist the narrative in her favor? Or something else entirely? The not knowing becomes a distraction, pulling my focus away from work. By lunchtime, I've made up my mind. I call Mary. Set up the meeting, I say, the words coming out sharper than intended. But I'm setting the terms. She meets me on neutral ground, and I'll leave the moment she starts lying. Got it, Mary replies. I'll make the arrangements. The rest of the day is a blur of work and anticipation. By the time I leave the office, the meeting is set for Saturday afternoon at a cafe near my apartment. It's a safe, public place, and I'm hoping that we'll keep things civil. Saturday arrives too quickly, the hours leading up to the meeting stretching unbearably. I walk into the cafe 15 minutes early, scanning the room for a seat that offers both privacy and an easy exit. Settling into a booth in the back, I order a coffee and wait. Maddie arrives right on time, her entrance as calculated as ever. She's dressed in a way that screams effort, hair perfectly styled, makeup subtle but flawless. Her eyes lock onto mine, a flicker of something unreadable passing through them. Nervousness? Guilt? It doesn't matter. I steel myself as she walks over and sits down. John, she says softly, her voice carrying that same sweetness she's always used to disarm me. Not this time. Maddie, I reply, keeping my tone neutral. You wanted to talk. I'm here. Say what you need to say. She hesitates, her hands twisting in her lap. I wanted to explain. I lean back in my chair, crossing my arms. Explain? You mean justify? Her face falls, but she quickly recovers. No, that's not what I meant. I know I messed up, John. I know I hurt you. But I need you to understand why. I cut her off with a sharp laugh, shaking my head. Why? What could you possibly say that would make any of this okay? She flinches, her composure slipping for the first time. It wasn't about you, she says, her voice trembling. It was about me. I felt lost, unseen, like I didn't matter. My jaw tightens. So instead of talking to me, your husband, you decided to cheat? To throw away everything we built for some cheap thrill? Tears spring to her eyes, but I don't let them sway me. I know I should have come to you, she whispers. I know I handled it wrong. But John, I still love you. I want to fix this. Her words hang in the air, heavy and hollow. I stare at her, trying to find even a shred of the woman I once loved. But all I see is someone who made her choices, someone who let her selfishness destroy us. It's too late, I say finally, my voice cold but steady. You don't get to say you love me after months of lying, of betrayal. You don't get to fix this, Maddie. I'm done. Her tears fall freely now, and she reaches across the table, her hand brushing mine. I pull away, standing up and tossing a few bills on the table for the coffee. I hope you figure out whatever it is you're looking for, I say, my voice hardening. But you won't find it with me. As I walk out of the cafe, a strange sense of relief washes over me. For the first time, I feel free, not just from her lies, but from the weight of trying to make something work that was already broken. I step out into the crisp afternoon air, feeling a strange combination of lightness and exhaustion. The conversation with Maddie is over, and with it, any lingering doubts about my decision. She showed her true colors, and no amount of tears or apologies could erase what she did. It's time to move on, for real this time. The walk back to my apartment feels longer than usual, my mind replaying her words on a loop. I still love you. The audacity of it makes my jaw tighten. If she loved me, she wouldn't have done what she did. Love isn't supposed to hurt like that. When I get home, I toss my keys on the counter and sink onto the couch. My phone buzzes, and for a split second, I consider ignoring it. But when I see Mary's name on the screen, I pick up. "How'd it go?" she asks, her tone professional but tinged with curiosity. "Exactly how I expected," I reply, rubbing my temple. She cried, tried to explain herself, and said she wanted to fix things. Mary lets out a small sigh. That's typical. They always want to repair the damage after the consequences hit. Did she agree to sign the papers? I lean back, staring at the ceiling. She didn't bring it up. Honestly, I don't think she's ready to let go. Mary's voice sharpens. Well, we don't have time for her emotional process. If she doesn't sign soon, we'll have to escalate. Are you prepared for that? Do whatever you need to do, I say, my voice firm. I just want this to be over. Understood, Mary replies. I'll keep you updated. After hanging up, I sit in silence for a while, letting the weight of the conversation settle. The relief I felt earlier is still there, but it's mixed with a deep sadness. This isn't the life I envisioned when we set our vows. But then again, neither is what she turned it into. The next few days pass in a blur of work and routine. I throw myself into my projects, the long hours helping to keep my mind off the divorce. My coworkers are welcoming, and Greg continues to show faith in my abilities, which helps restore some of the confidence Maddie's betrayal chipped away. One evening, as I'm packing up for the day, Greg stops by my desk. A few of us are grabbing drinks at O'Malley's tonight. You should join us, he says with a grin. I hesitate for a moment, tempted to decline. Socializing feels like the last thing I want to do, but a part of me knows it's time to start living again. Sure, I say finally. I could use a drink. O'Malley's is a cozy bar with dim lighting and a steady hum of conversation. Greg introduces me to the rest of the team, and for the first time in months, I feel like I belong somewhere. The laughter, the easy banter. It's a welcome change from the tension that's dominated my life. As the night goes on, I notice one of my coworkers, a woman named Erin, stealing glances at me from across the table. She's sharp-witted and confident, her laugh contagious. We end up talking for most of the night, the conversation flowing effortlessly. By the time I head home, I'm in a better mood than I've been in weeks. It's not that I'm ready to jump into anything new, not by a long shot, but the interaction reminds me that there's life beyond Maddie. I'm not as broken as I thought. The next morning, I wake up to an email from Mary. Maddie has agreed to meet again, this time to discuss the paperwork. Let me know if you're willing to attend. I close the laptop and run a hand through my hair. Another meeting. Another chance for her to try to manipulate me. But if it gets us closer to finalizing the divorce, it's worth considering. The decision to meet with Maddie again weighs on me for the rest of the day. On one hand, I want to avoid her altogether, to let the papers speak for themselves. But on the other hand, dragging this out further only prolongs the mess. If sitting down with her means we can finalize everything and move on, then so be it. I email Mary back, agreeing to the meeting, but with one condition. It has to be with her present. I'm not willing to face Maddie alone again, not after the last conversation. Mary responds quickly, confirming the arrangement for Friday afternoon in her office. The week trudges on, the meeting looming like a dark cloud. I keep myself busy with work, pouring all my energy into my projects. Erin stops by my desk a couple of times, her easy smile and quick wit a welcome distraction. We've started grabbing coffee together in the mornings, and while I'm careful not to read too much into it, it feels good to have someone to talk to. When Friday finally arrives, I wake up feeling a mix of dread and determination. Today might not bring closure, but it's a step closer. I drive to Mary's office, my hands gripping the steering wheel a little too tightly. The building looms ahead, sterile and intimidating, but I take a deep breath and head inside. Mary greets me with her usual no-nonsense demeanor, ushering me into the conference room where Maddie is already waiting. She looks up as I enter, her face a mixture of hope and desperation. For a moment, I feel a pang of something, pity, maybe, but I shove it aside. This isn't the time for sympathy. Let's get started, Mary says, cutting through the tension. She sits at the head of the table, her presence a reassuring anchor. Maddie, you requested this meeting. What do you want to discuss? Maddie fidgets with the pen in her hand, her gaze darting between Mary and me. I wanted to see if there's any chance we can work this out, she says finally, her voice trembling. John, I know I made mistakes, but I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I believe we can rebuild. I lean back in my chair, crossing my arms. Rebuild? After months of lying and betrayal? You don't get to decide that now, Maddie. It's too late. Her eyes fill with tears, but I don't let them sway me. I've changed, she insists. I've cut ties with Leo, and I've been going to counseling. I know I hurt you, but I still love you. Doesn't that mean anything? Mary steps in, her tone firm. This meeting is about the divorce, not reconciliation. John has made his position clear. If you have concerns about the terms, now is the time to address them. Maddie's expression hardens, the tears replaced by a flicker of defiance. I just don't understand how you can throw everything away without even trying. I let out a bitter laugh. Me? I spent months trying, Maddie. You were the one who threw everything away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. The words hang heavy in the air, and for the first time, she seems to grasp the finality of the situation. Her shoulders slump, and she looks down at the papers in front of her. Fine, she whispers. If this is what you want. It's not what I want, I reply, my voice quiet but resolute. But it's what needs to happen. Mary slides the documents across the table, her pen tapping against the edge. Sign here, Maddie. Once this is finalized, you're both free to move on. For a moment, Maddie hesitates, her fingers trembling as she picks up the pen. Then, with a deep breath, she scrawls her signature across the bottom of the page. The sound of the pen scratching against the paper feels like the final nail in the coffin. When it's done, she looks up at me, her eyes pleading. I'm sorry, John. I really am. I nod, standing up and gathering my things. Goodbye, Maddie. As I walk out of the office, the weight on my chest feels a little lighter. It's not relief, not yet, but it's a step closer. The door to Mary's office closes behind me, and I stand in the hallway for a moment, letting the reality of the moment sink in. It's over. The finality of Maddie's signature on those papers feels like both a victory and a loss. I didn't want my marriage to end this way, but after everything, there was no salvaging what we had. I take a deep breath and head to my car, the weight on my chest easing with each step. The drive home is quiet, the city blurring past as my mind races with thoughts of what comes next. For months, my life has revolved around the unraveling of my marriage, but now that chapter is closed, it's time to focus on what's ahead. When I get back to my apartment, I throw my keys on the counter and grab a drink, sinking into the couch with a long exhale. The silence of the room feels different now, less oppressive, more peaceful. I look around at the boxes I've yet to unpack, realizing it's time to make this place feel like home. The next few days are filled with small victories. I set up shelves, hang pictures, and finally start decorating the apartment in a way that feels like me. Each step feels like reclaiming a piece of myself, a reminder that I'm not defined by what Maddie did. Work becomes my sanctuary, a place where I can focus on building something tangible. Greg continues to be supportive, and my team has started to feel like a second family. Aaron, in particular, has become a constant presence, a friendly face in the chaos of my rebuilding. One evening, as we're wrapping up a late meeting, she catches me by the elevator. Hey, a few of us are heading to a new sushi place downtown. You in? I hesitate for a moment, the old reluctance to socialize creeping in. But then I remember the promise I made to myself, to move forward, to stop letting the past dictate my choices. Yeah, I say with a smile. Count me in. The restaurant is lively, the atmosphere buzzing with energy. Erin sits next to me, her laugh infectious as we exchange stories about work and life. For the first time in what feels like forever, I find myself laughing genuinely, the weight of the past lifting, even if only for a little while. As the night winds down, Erin turns to me, her expression softening. You seem lighter tonight, she says, her tone gentle, like you're finally starting to let go. Her words catch me off guard, but I nod. I think I am, I admit. It's been a long road, but I'm getting there. She smiles, raising her glass in a small toast. To fresh starts. To fresh starts, I echo, clinking my glass against hers. The following week, Mary calls with the final update. Everything is processed, she says. The divorce is official. Congratulations, John. You're free. The words hit harder than I expect, a mix of relief and sadness washing over me. Thanks, Mary, I say quietly, for everything. You're welcome, she replies. And John? Don't look back. You've got a bright future ahead of you. Her words stick with me as I hang up, the reality of my new life settling in. It's not the life I planned, but it's mine now, and for the first time, I feel like I can embrace it. The finality of Mary's call lingers with me throughout the week. I've known this was coming, prepared for it, even anticipated it. But hearing the words, "The divorce is official," cements everything in a way that feels almost surreal. The chapter one fought so hard to save has closed, and now it's time to write the next one. At work, I dive into new projects with a focus and energy I haven't felt in months. The team continues to impress me with their enthusiasm, and Greg's faith in my abilities pushes me to excel. Each day feels like a step forward, the routine grounding me as I adjust to my new reality. Erin remains a constant presence, her quick wit and easy smile making even the most stressful days manageable. We've fallen into a comfortable rhythm, grabbing coffee in the mornings, bouncing ideas off each other during meetings, and occasionally joining the team for after-work drinks. She's become a friend, and while part of me notices the way her eyes linger on mine or how her laughter seems a little louder when I'm around, I'm careful not to read too much into it. It's too soon for anything more, but her friendship is a welcome reprieve from the solitude. One evening, as I'm leaving the office, my phone buzzes. It's an unknown number. For a moment, I hesitate, wondering if I should ignore it. But curiosity gets the better of me, and I answer, "John." The voice on the other end is tentative, but unmistakable. It's Maddie. I close my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "What do you want, Maddie?" She pauses, her breath shaky. "I wanted to hear your voice. To say I'm sorry. Again." Her words send a surge of emotions through me. Anger, sadness, frustration. "You've already said it," I reply, my voice steady. "And it doesn't change anything." "I know," she says quickly. "I know it's over. I wanted to thank you." The words catch me off guard. Thank me? For what? "For the life we had," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "I ruined it. I know that. But for a long time, you made me happy. I just wanted you to know that." I sit in silence for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Part of me wants to lash out, to remind her of the pain she caused. But another part of me recognizes the sincerity in her words. She's not asking for anything this time, just closure. "Goodbye, Maddie," I say finally, my tone firm but not unkind. "Take care of yourself." She murmurs a soft "you too" before the line goes dead. I set the phone down, letting out a long breath. The call feels like the closing of a final door, one I didn't realize was still ajar. She's out of my life now, for good. The following weekend, I find myself at a charity event Greg's wife invited me to. It's a formal affair, the kind of event I wouldn't normally attend, but I promised Greg I'd show up. The room is filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses, the atmosphere warm and lively. I spot Erin near the bar, dressed in an elegant black dress that makes her stand out even among the crowd. She smiles when she sees me, waving me over. "Fancy seeing you here," she says with a laugh. "I could say the same," I reply, feeling a genuine smile tug at my lips. As the night goes on, we talk more than we have before, the conversation flowing effortlessly. There's a lightness to it, a sense of connection that surprises me. For the first time, I let myself wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's something here worth exploring. The charity event hums with energy, but all I can focus on is Erin. She's leaning against the bar, her laughter cutting through the buzz of conversations around us. The light catches her eyes in a way that makes them sparkle, and for a moment, I forget about the weight of everything I've been carrying. "So," she says, tilting her head playfully. What's a guy like you doing at an event like this? I didn't peg you for the black tie type. I chuckle, shaking my head. I'm not. Greg roped me into it. Said something about networking and team spirit. She raises her glass in mock solidarity. Let me guess. He said it was good exposure? Classic Greg. We laugh, and I feel a warmth I haven't felt in a long time. It's easy with her, like we've known each other for years instead of months. As the night goes on, we move from the bar to one of the quieter corners of the venue, the noise fading as we talk about everything from work to childhood memories. At one point, she pauses, her expression growing serious. I don't want to overstep, but you seem different lately. Happier. Maybe? I don't know. Her words catch me off guard, but I nod slowly. I think I am. It's been a rough few months, but I'm starting to feel like myself again. She smiles, her eyes softening. Good. You deserve that. The rest of the night passes in a blur of laughter and conversation, and by the time we part ways, I find myself replaying her words in my mind. There's a sincerity in her that I haven't encountered in a long time, and it leaves me wondering what might come next. The following week at work, Erin and I fall back into our usual rhythm, but there's an added layer now, a quiet understanding that wasn't there before. She stops by my desk more often, her comments tinged with a playful edge, and I catch myself looking forward to our morning coffees. One afternoon, as we're both leaving the office, she hesitates at the door. Hey, you busy tonight? She asks, her tone casual but her eyes betraying a hint of nervousness. Not really, I reply, curious. Why? There's this jazz bar downtown I've been meaning to check out, she says, fidgeting with her bag strap. Figured it might be fun. No pressure, though. I smile, feeling a spark of excitement. Sounds great. I'll meet you there. The bar is dimly lit and intimate, the soft notes of a saxophone filling the space as we settle into a corner booth. Erin orders a cocktail, and I stick with a beer, the conversation flowing as effortlessly as it always does. She tells me about her family, her love of travel, and her dream to one day open her own business. I share bits of my own story, careful to keep it light, but she listens intently, her eyes never leaving mine. At one point, during a lull in the music, she leans forward slightly, her voice low. Can I ask you something? Of course, I reply, my curiosity piqued. What's next for you? She asks, her gaze steady. You've been through so much, but you're here now. What do you want from this new chapter? The question lingers in the air, heavy with possibility. I take a moment to think before answering. I want to build something real, I say finally. Something that's mine, something I can be proud of. Whether that's work, relationships, or just my own sense of peace, it's time to move forward. She nods, a small smile playing on her lips. That's a good answer. The rest of the evening passes in a comfortable haze, and by the time we leave, the connection between us feels undeniable. As we part ways outside the bar, she hesitates for a moment before giving me a quick hug. Thanks for tonight, she says softly. I needed that. So did I admit, watching as she disappears into the night. The next morning, I wake with a renewed sense of clarity. The evening with Erin felt like more than just a casual night out. It was a glimpse into what life could be, a life without the shadow of my past weighing me down. As I sip my coffee, I replay our conversation, her laughter, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams. For the first time in months, I feel genuinely excited about the future. At work, things feel different. Erin and I exchange smiles and inside jokes, the connection between us growing stronger with each passing day. The team notices too, teasing us lightly during meetings, but I don't mind. For once, I'm not hiding from life. I'm embracing it. One evening, Greg pulls me aside as we're wrapping up a late project. You seem happy, he says, his tone more curious than anything. Erin's good for you. I raise an eyebrow. We're just friends. He smirks, crossing his arms. If you say so, just don't let a good thing slip away. His words stick with me as I leave the office. Am I holding back? Maybe. Part of me is still cautious, still afraid of getting hurt again. But another part of me knows that life is about taking risks, about moving forward even when it's scary. That weekend, Erin invites me to a local farmer's market. The weather is perfect, the kind of crisp fall day that feels like a fresh start. We wander through the stalls, sampling food and admiring handmade crafts. At one point, she spots a small plant with vibrant green leaves and holds it up with a grin. "This would be perfect for your apartment," she says, her eyes bright. I laugh, shaking my head. "I don't exactly have a green thumb." She places it in my hand, her smile teasing. "Consider it a challenge." As we continue walking, I notice the way she talks about life, with enthusiasm, with hope. It's contagious. By the time we leave, the plant is in my bag, and the idea of adding a little life to my apartment doesn't seem so daunting. Later, as we sit at a cafe with steaming cups of coffee, Erin grows quiet, her gaze thoughtful. "Can I tell you something?" she asks. "Of course," I reply, leaning forward. "I think you're stronger than you realize," she says softly. "What you've been through, most people would have let it break them, but you didn't. You're here, you're rebuilding, and that's amazing." Her words hit me harder than I expect, a warmth spreading through my chest. "Thank you," I say, my voice quieter than I intended. "That means a lot." She smiles, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand briefly before pulling back. "Just don't forget it." The rest of the weekend feels like a turning point. I rearrange my apartment, placing the plant in a sunny spot by the window. It's a small thing, but it feels symbolic, a representation of growth, of starting fresh. By Monday, I feel lighter, more confident. Erin and I fall into our usual rhythm at work, but there's an added ease now, a sense of something unspoken but understood. We're not rushing into anything, and that's okay. For now, the friendship is enough. That evening, I get a call from Mary with the final update. "Everything's settled," she says. "The paperwork is filed, and the case is closed. You're officially free." I thank her, hanging up with a sense of closure I didn't know I needed. The weight I've been carrying for so long feels like it's finally lifting, leaving room for something new. As I sit by the window, watching the city lights flicker against the night sky, I feel a sense of peace. The past is behind me, and for the first time, I'm looking forward to what's ahead. The week that follows feels like a new chapter in every sense of the word. Work is steady but fulfilling, and the small connections I've been building, both professionally and personally, begin to feel like solid ground beneath my feet. The life I'm shaping isn't just a reaction to the past. It's mine, built on my terms. Erin continues to be a bright spot in my days. Her presence is natural, unforced, like she belongs in this part of my story. We still keep things light, but there's an unspoken depth to our connection that neither of us is rushing to define. It's comfortable, and for now, that's more than enough. One Friday evening, as I'm leaving the office, I find her waiting by my car. She's holding a brown paper bag and a bottle of wine, her smile wide. "Thought you could use a proper housewarming gift," she says, holding the items out to me. I raise an eyebrow, accepting the bag. "What's this?" "Open it," she says, her grin playful. Inside is a small cooking set, nothing fancy, but practical and thoughtful. I laugh, shaking my head. "Let me guess, you're tired of hearing about my takeout habit." "Guilty," she says, leaning against the car. "But seriously, you deserve to make this new place feel like home. Cooking for yourself is a good start." Her words hit me in a way I didn't expect. It's not just the gift. It's the gesture, the way she sees something as simple as my kitchen as a piece of my healing. "Thanks, Erin," I say, my voice sincere. "This means a lot." She shrugs, brushing it off. "It's no big deal. Besides, now you can't make excuses for not inviting me over for dinner." I laugh, the sound genuine and light. "Fair enough. I'll work on my chef skills." That night, I unpack the set in my kitchen, running my fingers over the smooth handles of the utensils. It's a small thing, but it feels significant. For months, my life has been about survival, getting through each day, each moment. But now, I'm starting to live again. The weekend brings more quiet victories. I try my hand at cooking, simple dishes, nothing fancy. And while the results are far from perfect, the act itself feels empowering. Each step, Each small accomplishment adds to the foundation I'm building for this new version of myself. By Sunday, I decide to take Erin up on her suggestion. I text her, inviting her over for a low-key dinner. Her response is immediate and enthusiastic, and a few hours later, she's at my door with a bottle of wine and her signature smile. The evening is relaxed and easy, filled with laughter and teasing as I navigate the kitchen. The food is passable at best, but Erin's encouragement makes me feel like a Michelin star chef. We eat at the small table by the window, the city lights twinkling in the background, and for the first time in years, I feel truly at peace. As the night winds down, Erin lingers by the door, her hand resting on the frame. "You've come a long way, John," she says, her voice soft. "I hope you know that." I nod, my heart full. "I do, and I have people like you to thank for that." Her smile widens, and for a moment, we just stand there, the silence between us comfortable and full of unspoken possibilities. Finally, she gives me a quick hug and steps outside. "Good night, John." "Good night, Erin," I reply, watching as she disappears into the night. As I close the door, I feel a warmth that goes beyond the evening. It's hope, real and tangible. The past is behind me, and while the scars remain, they don't define me. I've learned, I've grown, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. For the first time, I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward. Thanks for joining us on this gripping journey of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately redemption. What do you think about John's decision to walk away and rebuild his life? Should he give Erin a chance, or focus solely on his personal growth? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life tales of resilience and transformation. And if you face similar challenges in your own life, feel free to share your story. We're here to listen. Until next time, remember, no matter how dark the past, there's always a way forward. Stay strong and keep moving forward.